Hey everybody, this is Perch, and Bob Iger is out talking, media again, and with these things, listen. One of the kind of common sense elements that when you see somebody like a Bob Iger, and to some extent even James Gunn, when they're out there talking about their plans, they're talking about it in terms of kind of vision, and people get very hung up on the words, but keep in mind these people are in some cases a few steps away. I know James Gunn is steering it, so it's not as good an example as Iger, but Iger is the Disney CEO. He's got lots of things under his belt. And in his role, he has to be cautious of what he says to the market. It's a public company. There's a lot of scrutiny. And so these things that he will put out there in press become very, very generic, very aspirational. I just say that because if you hook too closely onto the words and try and find meaning from them, it's hard to do that, both pro and con. But basically, there's a couple comments that people are responding to. It's coming off of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which has a pretty low both review score. Now, Rotten Tomatoes 47% score, which is very very low. But keep in mind, I think the value of that platform is dropping over time as more and more people figure out how to game it. The bigger number, probably to be concerned about with Ant-Man, is that it dropped 69% in its second weekend at the box office. So between first and second week, 69% drop. That is the lowest drop any MCU film has had. And that's probably a really big concern for Disney, for sure, because one of the things about the MCU that's been different from a lot of other films is that they haven't suffered as much from the second weekend drop. Their films tend to be a little bit more evergreen. They tend to hold a little bit more interest. And all of this stuff has a chain reaction. It's like dominoes. If you're seeing that the drop is higher in the second week, it means that at-home DVD and digital sales are going to be a little lower. That's not a speculation. Every single film that has this has a similar chart. It means that a lot of the licensing and things you can get off of merchandise and toys and all that kind of stuff drop. For that matter, toys for Quantumania, like I don't even remember seeing a Lego set for this stuff. Was there one? I mean, I don't know. It seems like something was dropped there. But Iger went out and made the comment of, in Marvel, there are 7,000 characters. There's probably more than that, but anyway, he's making a point. There's lots of characters. There are a lot more stories to tell. And then Iger said this at Morgan Stanley's 2023 Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference, which isn't an investor conference, but it might as well be. That's the point. He's talking to the street. It says, what we have to look at Marvel is not necessarily the volume of Marvel storytelling, but how many times we go back to the well on certain characters. Sequels typically work well for us. Do you need a third or a fourth, or is it time to turn to other characters? Now, a lot of people are interpreting this as, this is Iger saying, we need to dump the legacy characters and we need to find new characters, and they're tying it into the culture war type stuff. But what he's actually saying in this speech is a lot simpler than that. And he's talking to the investors, and he's talking to people who are seeing the same stats about Ant-Man's drop and the longevity. And it's that first sentence that gives you the clue. There are 7,000 characters. What he's communicating is, hey, there's tons of upside here. There's tons of more money to be made. Don't worry. If you think about us making, $1 billion off of Groot, we've got 6,999 other characters here that also have that potential. So if you're worried about, Ant-Man dropping, and Ant-Man Quantumania was the third movie, of course, it was the trilogy film, then he's saying, we've got lots of other options. Don't worry about that. Now, Marvel's going to continue to do sequels and trilogies and other things. Look, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out. That's probably the only kind of boneheaded thing he's talking about. It does show his disconnect because Marvel needs to get Guardians 3 pushed out and hard. Now, maybe there's a super clever thought process here where he's wanting to downplay James Gunn's influence because he thinks DC will be threatening, but I find that extremely hard to believe. But if you look at what Marvel did with in theory the third Captain America movie, Civil War, did very well. Thor Ragnarok did very well. So I mean, they're not going to walk away from trilogies either. But what he's trying to communicate is, hey, don't worry about this film and don't see it as an indicator that our entire business is collapsing. We have tons and tons of other characters, and we're just going to have lots and lots of other characters coming out. It is interesting that as Marvel is starting to promote What If, the second season on Disney Plus, one of the characters that they're promoting there, one of the people they have front and center, is a brand new kind of Native American character that's never been, it has not been part of the Marvel universe. So in addition to these 7,000 characters, you're going to probably see more and more Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, created brand new. So anyway, that's the context behind that. Again, it doesn't all relate back to the cultural war type stuff. No, he's not saying we need to get rid of all the white people. It is purely it's a little bit more cold and cynical than that. It's don't worry, we're going to continue to make money. We've got lots of other characters. We can do anything. There's plenty of upside. Nothing to see here. Now, if you ask me, I do think there is something to see here. I think there is a general exhaustion in the in Marvel, and it's not the characters, it's the style. The thing about movies, and I don't see a lot of articles talking about this, it's not superheroes, it's not the genre, it's not anything else. It's the fact that Marvel movies has a sameness to the dialogue, the quips, the jokes, the structure of the three acts and how they go about it. It's that it is largely the same film in a lot of cases. And that's, to me, the bigger thing people are getting exhausted by. They'd continue to watch superhero films and all kinds of stuff if you had a different structure. But when you're doing things in the same kind of three act structure, you wear people out. And I think people are worn out. But anyway, Iger continues his second paragraph, which will also picked at a lot, is there's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand, he continued. I think we just need to look at what characters or stories we're mining. And if you look at the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of newness. We're going to turn back to the Avengers franchise with a whole set of different Avengers. So again, people are picking at this. There's two ways to read this comment. First, the obvious one is, it's going to be a different set of Avengers. Two of the main actors there have moved on. I mean, Chris Evans isn't coming back. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., who was the face of the trilogy of the first three. I mean, Iron Man was the centerpiece of this stuff, is dead. So those characters are gone. Now, they can certainly do multiversal stuff and all the rest, but it certainly seems they've turned the page. In addition to that, Scarlett Johansson is also gone. Both dead and dead to Marvel, or dead to Disney. So, you've got three of the main faces out of the picture. If you're talking about the historical trilogy, your Chris Hemsworth is it. You got Thor. And it's unclear about what he's doing and where he's going from here. It's going to be a new set of Avengers. No shit, So we're also going to tee up the Young Avengers and these other things. But yes, you're going to see a lot of newness. Of course you are, because a lot of the actors are moving on. So, yeah. Now, what he's saying basically to the market is, hey, don't worry if Robert Downey Jr. isn't coming back, because people are not connected to comics or may not even watch the movie. Go, Robert Downey Jr. made billions of dollars. When is he coming back to make us another $1 billion? And Iger is basically saying, hey, we don't need him. We've got thousands of other characters, and it's going to be new and exciting and different. Will it work? Hey, if they have good stories, it'll work out just fine. But in many cases, the MCU mirrors the comics in this case, where Marvel comes out and says, all new, all different Marvel. And it's like, yeah, but the stories weren't there. So, it's not the all new, all different that's a problem. It's that the stories weren't, all good and all compelling. So anyway, there you have it. So we'll see where it all goes. But this is the news of the day, how Iger is kind of handling all this. And, it is what it is. What do you think? You interested? Well, I a lot of you not. I know we've asked this question before in the comments, but that's the basic thing that's being said. It's in many ways, and I'm sure some people will try and call me out on this. It is a nothing to see here kind of announcement, which means no, he's not leaning into any kind of various culture shenanigans. There is nothing to see here. So it's once again, it's Perch going, no, don't worry about it. Things aren't burning down. No, not exactly, because nothing to see here can be taken another way as well. And I mean it that way too. There is, at the moment, nothing to see here. Meaning, as long as they keep pumping out the same movies and same structure and the same all the rest, there is literally nothing to see. So it is, you advertise all the different characters you want. You've got to tell different kind of stories. You've got to have movies that feel different to the audience and not that we're seeing, the same thing with a fresh coat of paint. So my opinion anyway. Thanks for listening.